Hi, I am DemonaNightshade, and I wanted to do a run through of the tutorial in Wurm Online to help new players kind of get a leg up on the game and figure out a little bit quicker how it works. I have been playing Wurm Online for almost 4 years now. In about 2 months, it'll be 4 years. And this game means an awful lot to me. I've spent a lot of time building my own space in Wurm Online, and I will do a detour later. But for now, I have started a brand new, fresh character so that I could walk through the tutorial and show you guys kind of what to do while you're in there. I know a lot of people have some trouble trying to figure out the basics in Wurm Online, and that is why I wanted to make this video to help people get into the game. I am also a community assistant on Wurm Online, so you will see me if you are on the Southern Freedom Isles, you will see my character name in the CA Help tab that we have here. Now, this tab is for people to take advantage of when they have questions about game mechanics or if they need to know something. We've got a whole bunch of community assistants that can help you by answering your questions, and a lot of other older players will join in too. So if there aren't any available community assistants, you'll probably still get an answer through other players. While you're in the tutorial area, you can also take advantage of the tutorial help, and we've got a couple community assistants that hang out in the tutorial area to help new players. So definitely take advantage of that if you do have any gameplay questions. So let's get started doing the tutorial. This is actually my first time doing this tutorial ever since they changed it. They changed it recently, and I've been playing for quite a long time, so it's been a long time since I've ran through here. So let's take a look at it and see how we get started. So before we do that, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the HUD that we've got here. So up here, you're going to see your character name, as well as your food and water, your stamina, and your health. The calories, carbs, fats, and proteins I will go over later because that's not something you really need to worry about as a new player. Sleep bonus is something that increases your skill gain, and you will get that by sleeping in beds and eating sleep powder. But we will talk a little bit more about that later. You've also got your target window. So if there was a creature here that was mean, I could target it, and that would open up my combat window, and you would see the face of the creature in there. That way you know exactly what you're targeting. Over here, we've got the select bar, and that will give you all of the options that you have when you have something selected. So for example, I clicked on that sign, and I'm probably too far away to examine it. Yep. But if I go over to it, I could press examine. It also gives me the repair option when I'm up close, but that will tell you about the item, details about it. You can also use that to board your vehicles, to do stuff with creatures like leading them and breeding them and feeding them and stuff like that. You can use this for a lot of things. All right, so we also have your little effect window here, and this will tell you the current effects that you have. So as a new player, you're going to start with the newbie health, and that means you'll heal a lot faster than you will as a regular player. You've also got the newbie aggro range, which means creatures aren't going to be attacking you from unless you're really close to them. So it's easier to run around as a new player because you won't get attacked quite as often by all of the creatures. We've also got the newbie food bonus, and that means you won't need to eat or drink as much as a new player. And then the armor bonus is going to tell you, depending on what kind of armor you're wearing, whether you have any issues casting spells and doing archery, which we will talk about those skills later. Down here, you've got all of your little hotkeys. So we've got toggling climbing. That one you'll use when you need to climb. faithful. So basically, Wurm Online has 4 deities, and each of these deities has a perk, as well as once you have high enough faith with that deity, you can become a priest. And each of them has different spell lists and things that you're not allowed to do as a priest, or you are allowed to do, and different bonuses. Lawful. So this one, you're not really going to be worrying about on PvE. I'm not sure if you do anything with it on PvP because I haven't done a whole awful lot in PvP, but basically you're not able to break any laws on PvE. There's no stealing, all of that stuff. So you're not going to be able to mess with that. Stealth. So that's hiding, and you'll disappear from the local name tag, which is right here. It's kind of hard to get into stealth mode. I haven't really done a whole lot with it because you don't really need to use it too much on PvE. The auto fight mode, that will affect your combat up there, and we'll talk more about combat later. You've also got your toggle for sleep bonus. This will turn your sleep bonus on and off. And as I mentioned earlier, sleep bonus will give you bigger skill ticks, and they're really great for when you're grinding. If I had a quiver in my hip slot, I'd be able to click on this to open it. And if I had a backpack equipped, that would open it right there. Inventory. So this one is going to open up your inventory. And if you see here, I have a whole lot of equipment that I started with. So I'm going to equip this backpack. I can. Press C and pull up the character screen. So now when I click on this button, it'll open my backpack, and whatever I have in there, I can get into easily. So I'm going to go ahead and take this time to equip all of the armor, and I'm just going to click and then hold shift and click to the bottom so I can select it all at once and drag it over to the window. Now you can right click and hit equip, but because your actions are limited as a newer player until you skill up a little bit, it'll only do as many actions as you have, which you start with 3. So it would only put on 3 pieces at a time. So I usually just drag it all onto the character at once. I'm also going to equip my tool belt so that we can talk about that a little bit later. And that's all. Well, I'll do the shield and the sword as well. So now you can see all of my equipment on my avatar. It's not a very nice looking avatar yet. I'm actually going to unequip the cap and show you guys how to change your avatar. So if you started the wrong gender, it's easy to fix. All you have to do is right click your brightly glowing golden mirror and use. Now this will let you choose your gender. I'm going to keep female. Yes, I wish to remain female. And now it'll give you the ability to mess with your character. Now this one's a throwaway character for me, so I am not really going to mess with it a little too much. It's kind of limited in your character choices, sadly, for now. Hopefully they end up adding a little bit more in the future, but it's been this way for a while. So find the one that you like best. Just click through. And I'm not really worrying too much about these. All right. So now you can see that my character has been updated to look like that. And another great thing when you want to see your character and see your armor and stuff and what you're doing and wearing is what I do is I left click and scroll my mouse out, and that will give you third person mode, which is still fairly new, but it's really great because you can see your character without having to go into the character screen. And I'm going to equip that cap. All right, and I think V is the default that will, I have all my hotkeys set up, but I think V is the default that will scroll you in and out, as well as pressing the plus and minus on your numpad. All right, so now that we have equipped our things, let's get started on the tutorial itself. We've got a couple people popping in. All right, so I am currently in Haven Academy, and this is the tutorial area. Now, this first part you're going to come to, it's going to tell you your keys for climbing, or you can also use the little quick bar down here. So I'm going to toggle climb on and move forward. Now you'll notice when I get to the top up here where it's flat, that if you leave climb on, you move very, very slow. So you're going to want to untoggle that. One thing that people run into, I see a lot of questions about how can I run or how can I move faster in Wurm Online. And sadly, there is no sprinting. Basically, depending on your gear and how much inventory weight you have, you're always moving as fast as you can. So if I was holding a whole lot of stuff, I would be going a lot slower than this. And you'll learn that later on, that either you have too much inventory weight or you've accidentally toggled climb, when all of a sudden you're going from moving quickly to moving very, very, very slowly. All right, so this first part of the tutorial, this is the digging area. So what you're going to want to do, basically with your tools, the only things that you want to equip are weapons and armor. So when you need to activate a tool or an item and to use it, you're going to double click on it until it turns green. And you'll see down there that I have my shovel activated. So I'm going to come out here to the dirt. And they have recently added a default button, so I can either press that F to dig. It's going to take a little while with the starter tools. Or I can also right-click the tile and dig. And let's see. Just to show you what it's going to look like when you have too much weight, I'm going to dig a couple more times. Now, one thing you're going to want to watch is your event window. Basically, if you are having trouble doing something and it's not doing what you expect it to, look in your event window and you will get some clues as to what's going on. Basically, if you have an error, it'll say something about it down here. It also it keeps a log of your event window in your Wurm folder, so you'll be able to see, like, say you accidentally dropped something and you're not sure where you left it. You can look in your logs and see, oh, okay, well, I dropped my pickaxe around here and I was doing this at the time. So you can go through your logs and kind of figure out where something is. Basically, you're going to be living in the event window for your game. So let's see. I'm going to take that pile of dirt. And now, see, I'm moving really, really slow. That's because I have way too much weight in my inventory. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to drop that dirt in the trash bin. All right. So we have completed the digging tutorial area. And over here, we are going to do some tree chopping. So here is, as I was saying earlier, if you're walking slowly, be sure you turned off climb and are not carrying dirt or logs, because those things are all very, very heavy. So let's continue on over here. And for chopping wood, you're going to want to activate your hatchet. Now remember, don't equip. You're going to want to activate it by double clicking it. Another handy thing, which I mentioned earlier, the tool belt. As you get higher quality tool belts, they will get longer. You'll have more slots, up to 10 slots. And you can drag your items over into here so that you can easily just single click and switch between. Now, if you watch right here, you'll see my shovel's activated, hatchet activated, shovel, hatchet. So let's go over here and find a tree to chop. I'm going to cut down this linden tree. Now, if I remember right, as a new player, it's going to take a little while for you to chop a tree down. I'm just going to click through here. Yes, trees usually need a couple of actions to cut down. Once you get a higher level and you have higher woodcutting skill and you have more body strength and a better quality hatchet, you will be able to chop them down in 1 or 2 hits instead of a couple. I think they accelerated these ones here, but with a lower quality tool, once you get out into the actual game, it'll take a while to cut down some trees, especially depending on the age of the tree. So moving on to this portion of the tutorial, we've got mining. And I'm just going to run and look up here because I've never been through the tutorial before. Somebody died in here. All right, down here and continuing into the mine. So as you see, we've got some veins in here. Normal rock walls are going to look like this. They're going to have this texture on them. But if you see here, these have different textures. So we've got an iron vein. We've also got a copper vein and a marble vein, another iron. There's also sandstone, slate, rock salts, lead, tin. There's all sorts of veins in Wurm Online, and each metal has different properties. So while you're making your tools and stuff like that, figure out the different properties of the metals that might give you an advantage, such as like if you're bashing something, lead will give you an advantage to bashing and make you do more damage to that thing. So you'll want to use lead for mauls and stuff that you use to bash. All right, so you're going to want to, the same way you equipped your shovel and your hatchet, you're going to want to double click your pickaxe, pick a vein. I'm going to mine the copper, and you can either right click and mine, or you can press the F button. Don't worry about mine downwards and mine upwards for a while. That will be when you're making your own mine, when you've got either a deed that you move to, or you create your own deed, or you're just out exploring and trying to find some metals. So I'm going to hit mine. And this is going to take a little bit. Like I said, slower tools have slower action timers. The higher your skills and the higher quality tools you've got, the faster this will be. And your ore will automatically drop to the ground, just like the tree and the dirt did. Let's see, where did it go? Oh, right at my feet. So ore weighs a lot until you smelt it down. Once you smelt it down, it'll weigh less. Usually the lumps that you get from one ore is going to be 1 kg, but there are a couple of the ores, such as copper, tin, silver, and gold, that weigh a lot smaller once you smelt them down. So I'm just going to, is there a trash bin? I'm just going to put it in this item pile. All right, let's move on to the next part of the tutorial. Here. So I did learn a little bit about this spot the other day when I was talking to another community assistant. Apparently, they've got a practice arena here, but they don't actually have anything for you to do in the practice arena. This is just kind of a fun little building. In the tutorial area, they aren't going to have any monsters or mobs or any way for new players to get hurt. So they don't actually have anything in here for you to fight or anything. All right, and now we have made it to the end of the tutorial. So what you're going to want to do is examine this sign, and this will take you to the next area. So to examine, you either double click, or you can also right click, and you've got your examine quick action here. So click on that. And now we are in the area that has the portal, and I'm not even sure. Let's see. Yeah, we must be on Haven still, which normally you'll see Haven in the sky from all of the islands on Wurm Online. So all there really is to do in this one is to run to the portal. So when you get up to here, you do have to get very close to the portal to use it. So you're going to want to go right about where the swirlies are and right click the portal and use. So here we have 3 different choices of places that you can go. We've got the southern islands, which are older. We basically just added a new cluster with the release to Steam. So these are all the ones that all of the players are going to have higher skills. You're going to see a lot of old terraforming, old villages, all sorts of amazing deeds. We've also got the Northern Freedom Isles, which is you started on Harmony. I'm not sure if you, well, now you could pick where to start, but basically they started with Harmony and Defiance. Defiance is the PvP server. So you will you will probably die if you go here. I would suggest starting on Harmony, Melody, or Cadence first and working on some of your skills, and then later you can sail to Defiance to PvP. Now the great thing about Wurm Online is in each cluster you can build a boat and sail from server to server to server to server as much as you want. So you can start on Harmony. Maybe you don't really like the map. Maybe you don't find a good spot that you'd like to make your home. So you can build a boat and sail down to Melody and look around Melody. And if you don't really like Melody either, you can sail over to Cadence. Now, Cadence is very new and it has a whole lot of open space. So if you can't find any space that you like on Harmony or Melody, you can go over to Cadence and check it out there. So this is actually pretty big. Both of these are, and these are about half the size. Now we also have another cluster called Epic. These ones are PvP as well. Basically, we've got the home servers, and with PvP, you're going to be part of a kingdom. There's 3 different base kingdoms, and depending on which one you join, that will determine who your enemies are and who you're going to PvP with. So we've got Molrehan, and then we've got Horde of the Summoned, and we've got Jen Kellen. And then on Elevation is kind of where all of those kingdoms meet, and that's where a lot of the PvP ends up happening, because all of those factions can deed land here and do a PvP event called Hunt of the Ancients, and this is where most of the PvP happens on Epic. So I live on the Southern Freedom Islands. I live on the server Independence. Now, they do have a PvP island that you can sail to here. It is called Chaos. And then we've got Independence and Xanadu. Xanadu is the biggest. It is seriously freaking huge and lots of mountains. Independence is the second biggest. And then we've got all of the smaller servers: Deliverance, Exodus, Celebration, Pristine, and Release. Release is where I started almost 4 years ago. I lived on Release until last October when I moved to Independence with my best friend. Population wise, if you want to play with a lot of players, you probably won't want to choose Xanadu unless you look in the forums and do some find some recruitments for villages, because Xanadu is huge, like super huge, and it has the most amount of players on it, but the player density is not really there. Sometimes you could go for hours and hours and hours just running around and not even see one other player, and there's 140 more players online. Independence is a little bit smaller, so you will find a lot of players there. You'll probably run into some if you're running around for an hour or two. The smaller servers do have some decent populations on some of them. It just kind of varies. I noticed that some of them tend to get really quiet for a while, and then some of them tend to get really busy. So it's really just, if you're doing PvE, just personal choice. If you want to play with a lot of players, your probably best bet is going to be independence, or to look for a active village on the forums in the recruitment section, and then you can find active villages and large alliances on other maps. So I'm going to bring this character to independence, and so you got a couple different options for independence. I think Xanadu has 4 or 5 starter towns. Independence has 3. We've got the old one, and that's the Howl. They've got a newer one called Haven's Landing. And then they've got Freedom Market as well, which is an awesome little marketplace. So I'm going to go to Haven's Landing. And yes, I do wish to enter this portal. All right. So here we are in Haven's Landing. This is the brand new starter area. I think it's been maybe a year. Now, the resources around here, I have also only been here once, so I don't really know a whole lot about it. Let's see, you've got your wood cutting over here. It looks like they need to plant some trees. There aren't very many growing right now, but as you can see, there's trees everywhere. So you don't really need to rely on the starter town for trees. Let's see. This is the digging area, it looks like, so you can practice your digging skills. Now, one thing you will notice when you start is that your digging skill may be keeping you from doing terraforming that you want to do. Basically, you need to work up some digging skill to work on higher areas to terraform. You'll need it pretty flat at first when you're working on your digging skill. And one thing I recommend is to find a clay or tar pit that is pretty flat and practice digging there, because you're going to get some great skill, and those don't move down until after 50 actions. So you'll be able to keep it pretty flat for quite a while of digging. And after a while, you can do digging in other places and won't be as restricted by your digging skill. So Haven's Landing also has a mining area. Let's go check this out and see what kinds of veins we've got in here. All right, so it looks like they just have some iron veins. So this is what a normal cave wall is going to look like. Now these, when you are mining these, they're going to have usually around 50 hits. So if you are trying to make a tunnel, it is going to take a while for you to create that tunnel, because each tile is an average of 50 hits. Some of them break at 45, some of them break at 55, but an average of 50 hits to knock out one cave tile. Veins, on the other hand, can have as many as 10,000, I think is the limit. So you can usually use a vein for a very long time and get a lot of units of that metal. An easy thing to do is to have either a smelter or a forge in your mine or wherever you are mining, because then you can melt down those ores. And like I said, when you melt them down, they weigh a lot less and they're a lot more easy to transport. And I think that is all that Haven's Landing really has. Let me run up here and run to the exit area. Now, when you start playing, you might have players offer to mail you things, or you might want to purchase things from the trade chat, which we've got right here. And when you need things mailed to you, there's a couple different versions, but the one I mostly see is this, a spirit castle. So this is the mailbox. And when you are trying to receive something in the mail, you're going to want to right click it, and you can right click it and press check. Now, it says down here, if you check in my event window, that I have no mail, but if you did, it would pop up a little window. And when people mail things to you, they can either mail it for free or they can COD it, or cash on delivery. And to receive that item in the mail, you'll need to have that money in your bank. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Alrighty, sorry about that. I needed to get a drink. I'm not used to talking this much. My throat was getting dry. Anyway, here you've got another portal. Now, this is a one-time portal, so you cannot come back to Haven's Landing and use this again to get somewhere. So this portal gives you the option, if you want. Oh, well, since I already used a portal, it's not going to let me. So never mind about that. They also have the Epic portal, and you can move back and forth with the portal from Epic and Freedom. So this will let you pick which home server you want to go to, and then you can travel to Elevation from there. The great thing about Epic is that you can go there in PvP, and then you can pop right back through the portal. So if you don't want to live on PvP full time, or you don't feel like sailing over to Chaos, then you can use the Epic portal. The only thing is there's not a whole awful lot of players on Epic right now, especially with the opening of the new PvP server on Defiance. So it looks like they have a community farm area. So they have crop spots available for you to plant crops. The great thing about growing things in Wurm Online, yes, Wurm has seasons, but even in the winter, you can still grow your crops. So they don't depend on a particular season to grow. The only thing that you can only harvest in particular seasons is going to be like trees and bushes. So we've got like oak trees right here. We'll have acorns during a specific time of the worm year. And then we've got like apple trees and cherry trees and lemons and oranges and all sorts of stuff that you can harvest at different times throughout the worm year. Looks like, yep, they've got a little tailoring area over here. So when you're doing tailoring stuff, you'll be using the loom and the spinning wheel to create your cloth. You've got some lovely pavement through here. I love to play with pavement in Wurm Online. It is one of my favorite things to do, is to decorate my deed and play with different pavement patterns, dyeing things, building crazy buildings and stuff like that. The creativity and the freedom that you have in this game, it just can't be beat. So, on that note, when you are building, you actually have the freedom to build a building wall by wall. Each of these walls was individually planned and individually built. The stone ones take 20 stone bricks or whatever bricks you're using, like this is sandstone, and 20 mortar. So it takes quite a lot of bricks and mortar to make something as large as this, as well as you'll need quite a high carpentry skill to make it as big as this. When you're just starting out, you'll probably be making smaller stuff for a while. But eventually you can make these big, giant, amazing buildings and be super creative with them. All right. So, to help you get around in Wurm Online, say that you find someone who is willing to take you into their village. If they can't come and get you, or if they ask if you can make it there yourself, you can use our highway feature. And our highway feature will let you find routes to wherever you're going. So, my deed where I live is Celestial Seaport. It is up Northern Independence. So we are currently right here, and I live up here. So it's quite a long ways away, but I'm just going to show you the find route anyway. You're going to want to find a waystone, and waystones are connected by these small little things called cat's eyes, and these create highways, and all of these tiles are protected, so you can't destroy them. You can't mess up the highways unless you deed over them. So to find your way somewhere, you'll want to right click a waystone and find route. Then you'll look over here and you've got the villages that you can find routes to. And not every deed on the server is on this list. Some of them choose to not be on the highway system, and that's okay. So I'm going to find a route to Celestial Seaport is mine. My best friend's is Celestial Heights, and then I've got a little market deed. So I'd click Celestial Seaport and send. Now this tells me that I have to go this way. And I'm quite far away, 4,251 tiles. So that's 4,251 of these. So it would take quite a while to get here or get there. But as you're running along, you will see more waystones, and those will show you the way to go. Just look for the lit up one that has the name of the route, the name of the place that you're trying to find. So I think that is a good place to stop this video. I've taken you through the tutorial, and we have taken a look at the starter village on Independence. And I hope that you have learned something and had a good time following along with me and figuring out the basics on getting started in Wurm Online. And basically, after this, just have fun. Go find somewhere. You can look for a deed to join, or you can go off on your own. I wouldn't recommend trying to fight very many things at first, because this game is kind of ruthless in the beginning. And fair warning, you will die a lot. And I mean a lot, a lot. And when you do die, you will start with your tools, but say like your backpack, your rope, your pottery bowl, stuff like that is going to drop. So the only thing you will keep is your starter tools, and that's only the starter ones, and your starter armor and your starter weapon and shield. So everything else is going to drop. And in that case, you're going to need to either go find your body again, or have someone help you locate your corpse with a spell, or when you have karma later on, you will be able to see. I don't even see it on here. You'll be able to use your karma, which I don't have yet. And the karma will allow you to summon your corpse. You get it by doing missions, which I don't have a mission thingy up here. So let's see. If you end up accidentally closing any of your HUD windows, this is a good thing to add on to this. If you press escape, or you can also press down here in the main menu, you'll pop up this handy little bar up here. So this will allow you to edit your hotkeys, as well as another thing I didn't talk about is you can set hotkeys by, let's see, activate the shovel, right click, and then hold the hotkey that you want to create. So now when I press space and I'm hovering over dig, Now it'll have me dig, which I can't right now because I'm on a deed. But that's how you set your own hotkeys really easily. So you also have your tools right here. So if you do lose any part of your HUD, you can click more on this list under tools and toggle things on and off. So here's the mission. So these are going to be the deities asking you to do certain things, sacrifice creatures or bring them something or build them something. And that will give you karma so that you can summon your corpse or do all sorts of other things with it. Another thing to take a look at real quick is the journal. So if you're ever stuck and you don't quite know exactly what to do, you can follow along with your journal steps. So it's got the tutorial for the fishing, which is kind of a complex and in-depth system. I will do a video on the fishing later, but I'm not very good at the new system myself. They changed it in the last couple years, and I haven't really done a whole lot with it yet. But anyway, this first steps one, this is going to give you some things to work towards. So chop down some trees, flatten a tile, create a mallet, mine iron, create nails, plan a house, complete a house, improve a metal tool to 15 quality. And I'll talk about improving later on and show you how to grind different skills and get your tools and armors and all of that to a higher quality. Ride a cow, kill a creature, plant a crop, and find a route, which we already did. So if you're ever stuck, follow the first steps in your journal, and as you complete some of these, you'll get a whole nother tier in your journal, and I'm not sure how many there are in total, but there's quite a few. And then if you become a priest, you get a whole nother set of journal tiers. And I am going to end with that. If you have any questions, make sure you remember that you can use the CA Help tab. And you've also got the tutorial help tab when you are on the tutorial. There's also the wiki. Another thing I should show real quick is if you have any questions about anything, so like the compass, right click it, and we've got that Wurmpedia button here. And let's see. I do not have it set up to show you the internet. Anyway, it'll pull up the Wurmpedia, which is the wiki, and tell you about each thing. I will show that in another video, but for now, I am going to log off of this character and back onto my main character. Have fun playing Wurm Online, and I hope that this has been informative and helps you out getting started.